Okay, now student we will discuss about supply function. Okay, supply function means basically function means relation. Okay, basically function means relation. Okay, relation with whom? Relation with supply. Basically supply is related to its price. Okay, basically supply is related to its price. Supply is related to government policy. Supply is related to technology. Okay, and there are so many other things that supply depends. And function means relation. Okay, function means relation. So which are the things that supply is related, or you can say determinants of supply function or determinants of supply is same. Determinants means what are the things that are determined by supply. So price of the goods. Okay, supply depends on price of the goods. Okay, and that is why price of the goods is the determinant of supply. Government policy, supply also depends on government policy, so government policy also a determinant of supply. Supply also depends on technology, and that is why technology is a determinant of supply. Okay, so whether you say determinant of supply or a relation of supply, okay, both the things are same. So you can say supply function or determinants of supply. The same question may comes like explain supply function. Okay, or the question may comes like explain briefly the determinants of supply. Okay, there will be the same answer. Okay, or the question becomes like what are the factors that determine supply. The same answer question is the same answer you will write. The question is different. Question is different. Supply function or determinants of supply, or what are the factors of supply that determine supply. So first now one by one we will discuss that what are the factors. What are the factors that determine supply, or what are the things which are related to supply. Okay, so there are so many things that price of own goods um, that affect supply. Okay, government policy affects supply, technology affects supply. Okay, future price affects supply. So there are so many things. Okay, and one by one now we will discuss it. Now number one point, I'm taking number 1 point is own price of a commodity. Own price of a commodity. The own price of a commodity means, suppose supply is q. Okay, suppose supply is q, and q is related to own price. Okay, own price. Q, that means supply of x is a good. Okay, and this x good supply is depends on its own price. That is why the first point I am taking is own price of a commodity. Own price of a commodity. So what is the relation? What is the relation with own price of a commodity with supply? So the relationship is, if the price of good x increase, then supply increase. Okay, if the seller if the seller if the seller sees that if the seller sees that if the seller see that price of the good increases, then he will increase supply. And if the price of good x falls, then he will decrease supply. This is the relationship between price of own good with supply. Okay, price of own good with supply. That means higher the price, higher the supply. Higher the price, higher the quantity supplied. Lower the price, lower the quantity supplied. Okay, this is the first point. Second point is number of firms in the market. Number of firms in the market. The number of farms, if the number of farms increases, then definitely supply will increase. If the number of farms increase, if the number of farms increase in a market, then supply will increase. Okay, suppose there are 2 farms in a market, and another market we see there are 10 farms. There are 10 farms in the market. So in two, where there are 2 farms and where there are 10 and where there are 10 farms, supply will definitely greater. Supply will definitely greater in the market where the number of farms higher. Okay, so we can so we can say that if the number of farms increases, then supply increases. Okay, and if the number of farms, decreases, then supply also decreases. So in the market, if number of farms increases, that means they will increase supply. If the number of farms increases in the market, then what they will do? They will produce more goods and supply will increase. And if the number of farms is less in a market, then they cannot supply more goods and supply will decrease. So this is the second point, number of farms in the market. Third point, we can write state of technology. State of technology. State of technology. Now supply depends on technology. Okay, if you increase the modern technology, if you use a modern technology, if you use modern technology, then definitely your supply will increase. But if you use some obsolete technology, then your supply will falls. Okay, in the production or in the agriculture, we see that if we use modern technology, okay, advanced technology, if we use advanced technology, modern technology, then definitely what we see that supply increases. Why technology are using? Technology is used to increase supply only, to increase production only, to increase production, to increase supply. Modern technology is used. So if modern technology or advanced technology is applied, then definitely your supply will increase. Okay, cost will reduce and your supply will increase. But if the firms use the obsolete technology, okay, or old technology, then your cost will not reduce, your cost will increase and supply falls. Okay, so this is the third point, state of technology. Fourth point is government policy. Government policy. What is this point? Government policy. Government policy supply also depends on government policy. Why? Because if the government imposes more tax on farms, then farms cannot increase supply. Whereas if the government gives more subsidy, to the farm, then its supply will definitely increase. Okay, so if the government policy is like that, government imposes more tax, then these farms will not be interested to produce goods. If government's policy is like to impose more taxes on farms, then these farms will not be encouraged, these farms will not be interested to increase supply. Whereas if the farm's policy is to give subsidy to the farm or to help the farm, okay, whereas the farms face problems, then farms will be encouraged, farms will be interested to increase supply. Okay, so the farm supply will depend on government policy. Fifth is goal of the farm. So if the farm's goal or aim, if the aim of the farm or the goal of the farm to maximize profit only, to maximize profit only, okay, to maximize profit only, then what will happen? He will charges higher price, he will charges some higher price. If the goal or the aim of the farm is to maximize profit, is to maximize profit only, then he will charges higher price, then he will charges higher price, okay, then he will charge high, then he will charges higher prices, okay, then supply will not increase. If the farm charges higher price, then what will happen? To maximize his profits, if the farm charges higher prices, then what will happen? He cannot sell more goods, he cannot sell more goods in the market. But whereas if the farm's aim or the farm's goal is to maximize sales, then he will not charge higher prices, okay, he will try to reduce the price, or he will try to maintain the price, he will try to maintain the price, or he will try to fix the price at a affordable at a affordable level, so that he can sell, or he can supply more goods in the market. So the supply also depends on the goal of the farm, okay. If the goal of the farm is to maximize profit, then supply will not increase. But where the goal of the farm or the aim of the farm is to maximize sell, then definitely supply will increase, okay. So if this question comes in 6 marks, so at least 5 points you have to write and explain, okay. 5 points you have to write and explain, then you will get the full marks, okay. Next video we will discuss another thing.